This is The Warning. Donald Trump sat down in the Oval Office with Sean Hannity. He delivered an address of sorts with malice for all and charity for none and deep rage against anybody who suggests mercy, or in Sean Hannity's case, when he tried to move it on to the economy. But no, Trump couldn't do it.
Joe Biden has very bad advisors. Somebody advised Joe Biden to give pardons to everybody but him. They wanted to take care of. Yeah, but Sean, they wanted to. I don't care.
They're yelling at me.
This is more important because right now the economy is going to do great.
I want to know about
I'm here, so the economy. But you have to understand, he had bad advisors on almost everything.
Let's talk about lying for a second. There are lies of convenience that politicians do all of the time. People like Senator Richard Blumenthal, who severely exaggerated his service in the Vietnam War. Bill Clinton is a famous example of this. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Robert Menendez is an example of a felonious liar. What do you mean there's gold bars in my suit jacket? Trump's lies are different. They're lies of authority that have the power to make people and things disappear that you just saw or aren't supposed to see. Or maybe the better word is you are allowed to see, but dare not comment on. This is the point of the grave danger posed by the Elon Musk Nazi salute. What Elon Musk did is grotesque. How the New York Times and the Washington Post covered it was dangerous. That's why David Marinas, one of the most important journalists in the country over the last 50 years, has said the Washington Post lost its soul. Trump's interview with Sean Hannity was a paean to imbecility, ludicrousness. Let's listen to Donald Trump talk about water. His ignorance is astounding.
Sprinklers didn't work in the homes because they had no water. Think of it. We have sprinklers. Think of it with no water. They didn't have any water. The fire hydrants, yeah, believe it, hard to believe. The place has sprinklers. It's nice. Look, Gavin's got one thing he can do. He can release the water that comes from the north. There is massive amounts of water, rainwater and mountain water that comes due with the snow, comes down as it melts. There's so much water, they're releasing it into the Pacific Ocean. They don't need reservoirs. They don't need any. They're spending all this money on these reservoirs, and they're fake reservoirs. You know, they're reservoir. I don't think we should give California anything until they let water flow down into their state.
From the north to the south.
This is a political thing. I don't know what it is. You know, they talk about the Delta smelt. It's a little tiny fish like this. They say it's an endangered species. Well, how is it endangered? No wonder it's endangered. It's not getting any water. How do you, if you have a fish and you're stopping the water, isn't that going to hurt the fish?
The Delta smelt has no more to do with the fires in Los Angeles than does geology on Mars. Nothing whatsoever. Release the water, Trump says, as if Kevin Newsom is Moses. He's not. There is no doubt a great deal of incompetence in Los Angeles. But let me say something about that. Los Angeles and California are the places that trends start. The incompetence there is a warning to the nation about the arsonists and imbeciles setting up camp in the Oval Office, starting with this interview, which most presidents would never have done because politicizing the Oval Office was seen as a cheap thing to do. It's a symbol of authority that American presidents use in serious moments. Point of history, it was a place where Winston Churchill and Franklin Roosevelt met on 100 occasions, precisely at 5. FDR, apostle of peace and champion of freedom, would mix the cocktails in a room in which Donald Trump now sits and desecrates by his presence as he tries to burn down every precept of American values and decency and concept of the rule of law. And so the news of the Hannity interview was him telling you that what happened on January 6th was not a violent mob attacking the United States Capitol to overthrow an election result incited by Donald Trump, who watched it on television and said, "So what? Let it burn."
The only criticism or pushback I've seen is about people that were convicted or were involved in incidents where they were violent with police. Why did they get a pardon?
A number of reasons. Number one, they were in there for 3.5 years, a long time.
Right.
And in many solitary confinement, treated like nobody's ever been treated so badly. They were treated like the worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote because they knew the election was rigged and they were protesting the vote. And that you should be allowed to protest a vote. You should be allowed to. Some of those people with the police, true, but they were very minor incidents, okay? You know, they get built up by a couple of fake guys that are on CNN all the time.
Nobody watches.
They were very minor incidents, and it was time.
The images are real, and they must be shown. They must be known. But it's hard to show those images now, and it will become harder so to show the ugly parts of history because the big tech overlords don't want them to be seen. So Donald Trump is able to turn criminals into martyrs, which is precisely what the fascists in Germany did in the 1930s. Have no doubt about this. There's going to be a march in Washington from the White House to the Capitol, and it will be a march of multiples of the convicted criminals pardoned by Trump. But they'll be there, almost all of them, and they will become heroes of the state. Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump may order the January 6th insurrectionists to get military honors, to line up the United States Marine Corps in full dress blues, saluting them as that mob marches up the Capitol in recreation. What that mob is Trump's militia now, his thugs. And they will be set loose in the states, in elections, anywhere there is somebody to be intimidated. The Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys will be there, and their membership is surging. The disaster is beginning. The good news is Trump can't burn it all down in 4 years. It's not enough time. The opposition must form, and it must become hard, must become tough, but always bound by decency and honesty, integrity, anchored to the concept of probity and rectitude. No more Robert Menendez's. No more. Serious people are stepping forward. Secretary of State Benson, congratulations on your impending announcement for governor. There are others out there getting ready who will not step back. Good for them. What happened on Fox News was just a scene in a reality show. Hannity's a character at this point. It's not news. Hannity's almost a psychologist. Please God, move on. Economy, economy, economy. But the optimistic Irishman's luck has run out because Trump is what he is. And what he is perfectly clear. This is The Warning. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. And I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.